If you guys don't know, Denver has the highest migrant per capita count. They're frankly going broke. Check this out. City is now really considering whether or not to spend $20 million more for migrant hotel rooms just after shutting down a bunch of shelters and now migrants are homeless. I don't really know what Denver is doing. In fact, a lot of residents of Denver are saying the same thing. They took in 40,000 migrants. Okay, can you take care of all 40,000 migrants? You can't. So you're closing down shelters to save some money so you can keep your city somewhat functionable. And now migrants are sleeping on the streets. Sucks for the residents, especially government positions are getting the hours cut to zero. And it sucks for migrants sleeping on the side of the streets in cold Denver days. Look at this. Denver's food bill is rising. In December 2023, the city of Denver agreed to a $100,000 contract to feed incoming migrants with Colorado Hospitality Services. After a year, that contract was increased to $475,000 in January 2024. Then the city had to pay another $450,000 in February 2024. This is rising up, and now Denver is looking at another $500,000 for food costs through June, raising the total to $1.4 million. The amount of money that are spending on food is increasing rapidly. And I know that $1 to $2 million in the grand scheme of things of the migrant crisis is very low, right? Because New York is spending billions and Chicago is spending at least $200, $300 million. But you got to know that Denver is not a big place. This is a very small city, 700,000 people in this city, and it's not a financial hub either. It's more like a leisure city, and there's a few companies headquartered here. It's very, very nice. That's why people like to move to Denver, but not anymore after the migrant crisis. Unlike Chicago, which has 2.1 million, unlike New York, which has 7 to 8 million, people are kind of wondering why in the world Denver even considered doing the migrant crisis. And look at this. Denver is closing 4 shelters, scaling back migrant services to save $60 million. And if you look into what the city is doing, is they have to cut these. Okay, they're not only cutting jobs of government employees like the guys at the DMV, Parks and Rec, etc., which sucks because many people in Denver and the rest of the United States live paycheck to paycheck. So a sudden scale back in hours and jobs hurts them. And then second, you also now have migrant services being cut. Okay, so after all this stuff, after all the job cutting, after all the DMV hours being cut, and of course, hospital bills wrapping up, we have Denver still managing not to pay for the migrant crisis. They're frankly going broke, and they're begging the federal government for more money, which they're not really getting. If you look at this, Denver has received a little bit of federal help. It has gotten about $10.6 million, but it's less than a third of what the city and county have already spent. They cannot spend this anymore, not to mention food is just getting more expensive. Did you know inflation's going up again? Yeah, it is. Gas prices, if you guys haven't noticed, is rising dramatically. Inflation is going up. And unemployment in some cities are also rising. This is not a good combination for Denver right now. And it's getting worse and worse. And as the sanctuary city of Denver is now getting a massive inflow of migrants and with shelters being cut, Denver is now asking its residents to house their empty lots and empty homes specifically to migrants. And the city will pay you up to $2,000. That is not a lot of money. If you guys ever check out the rents in Denver, it is hyper expensive. It's not cheap at all. It's a very expensive place to live. In fact, a regular townhouse, if you want to rent it, is going to run you by $3,000 to $4,000 per month. So I don't think $2,000 is going to cut it. What a lot of landlords and property owners are scared about is maybe Denver in the future will force them to rent a certain number of properties out to migrants and accept the lower rents, which will absolutely kill off the whole entire housing situation in Denver. Denver has one of the hottest and most desirable housing markets in the whole entire nation. But with the migrant crisis, not anymore. In fact, it's getting worse and worse. And guys, it's not me saying that Denver, New York, and Chicago are going broke. It's the S&P Global Ratings. These guys look at the numbers, and these guys really look into the situation because they're saying that migrants and asylum seekers are posing a budgetary challenge in many of America's biggest cities. New York City is literally buckling. They're spending $9.2 billion a year on the migrant crisis. Chicago is spending almost $300 million, and Denver already tens of millions of dollars. Now, these budgets are all really far apart from each other, but one thing is certain. These cities cannot continue their current trajectory because if they do, they're going to end up borrowing more money, and as time goes on, more companies are leaving. Another big thing to notice is many companies and many residents are leaving many of these sanctuary cities because they feel like the city is spending every single penny on the migrant crisis instead of spending money on, for example, combating crime, combating food deserts, combating the subway crime, and shoplifting, robberies, all that sort of stuff. And when the city is not spending any money on the essentials, like the ones I listed, they just go to other places. And no wonder places like Nevada, Texas, and Florida are experiencing a humongous population surge. And I think this is all at the expense of a lot of these cities. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you later.